I'm calling in the creator to the CEO who crave creating community and cash to create it like a boss. With me, Katrina Julia, as your host, multi-passionate entrepreneur, creator, and CEO who has walked from fear to faith, self-hate to love, corporate to calling, and continues to, with experience in 7+ industries, 7,000 plus creators and startups, 2 creators to Fortune 500 brands, including Google, NBC, Victoria's Secret, and more. If you are ready to create it like never before in faith, wellness, wealth, marketing, business, travel, and more, this is the show for you. If this is your time to have freedom in all forms as you create it like a boss, let's
10 things I'm grateful for in 2025. As I reflect on 2025, I find myself both in awe and in wonder and in growth. How is it already the end of the year? How are we already in December? I feel like January was literally just here, blink of an eye away. But instead of spiraling into everything that didn't happen yet, also acknowledging it and diving deep into what aligned, what didn't align, I'm choosing to slow down, be present, and celebrate what did flow. Because even in the chaos, even in the challenges, even in the circumstances and the change, this year was full of growth, miracles, and moments that shifted everything. So I invite you to pause with me, to reflect, to celebrate. And in my year-end review, I'll also be sharing even more on both what worked and what didn't work, and what I'm focusing on even on deeper levels to align into 2026. So here are 10 things that I'm deeply grateful for in 2025 and how they shaped my life and my business. So what are you grateful for now? Challenge yourself to journal 10 things you're grateful for. No matter where you are in your journey, with passion, purpose, gratitude, and grace elevates us all to limitless levels. And I'm a believer of both reflecting in gratitude and grace, and also acknowledging the human experience, the human existence, and what is causing you angst, frustration, misalignment, so that you get to choose to change. Because sometimes we don't pay attention until the pain escalates. And who doesn't want and need more gratitude and grace in our lives? And releasing the judgment of the time and still giving ourselves the acceptance and the prayer and the push. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it's easy every time to practice gratitude and grace. And I give myself the moments to acknowledge when things are really, really hard, or if things haven't moved as fast as I would like them to, despite efforts, despite alignment, despite prayer, despite AI, and literally saving or creating over 160 hours with AI in the month of November. And like many of us, I'm an overachiever, and many, many things in life in the past I took for granted or were really, really easy for me until things weren't. And then also, I have had a history of being incredibly hard on myself, which can be both a blessing and a curse. And I'm proud of myself for the impact of the practice of gratitude and grace over the years. And I remind myself of my favorite scripture of 1 John 4:18. Perfect love drives out all fear. Number one, vast vision. Every year I set a vision that serves as my inner compass. And in 2025, that vision brought me back to deeper alignment, both spiritually and practically. From refining my brand and business model to choosing what felt good before it made sense on paper. This year reminded me that clarity doesn't always come at the beginning. Sometimes it arrives as we move. Sometimes clarity comes from creating. I'm grateful for the guidance, the whispers, and the GPS that's kept me focused on what matters. Number two, healing and growth. 2025 was absolutely a healing year. Not the loud, look at me kind, but the internal, soul deep, let go of old stories kind. Through mindset shifts, therapy, prayer, and embodiment work, I release patterns that no longer served me and giving myself permission to rest, reset, and rise. And also, some of this came from traveling with my parents for 2 months straight through Thailand, through Indonesia, through my mom being hospitalized after the earthquake in Bangkok because of vestibular balance disorder and nausea and feeling dizzy and being in the hospital for 5 days. And you can imagine the travel and the experiences, while precious, priceless, and privileged, in the midst of also all of that and being, immersed around both of my parents for 2 months straight, which hasn't happened in years, was quite an experience to say the least. And gratitude doesn't always come after the breakthrough. Sometimes it is the breakthrough. Sometimes it's saying, this is happening for me, or what is this teaching me, or what else can I, or who else can I become, or what else can I create, or what else can I let go of in this circumstance. Especially when different circumstances sometimes don't change with time, whether that's, health. Like, for example, it took me 15 plus years to finally lose 55 plus pounds over a year and a half. It's taken me years to transform with money from the inside out, even though for years I made brands 6 to 8 figures. I just shared on the blog and the podcast, it took me 30 plus years to learn to live in my means. And as a CPA, as an MBA, as someone that had all this external evidence, it didn't matter when internally I didn't feel worthy, when I developed these habits and this, repeat cycles, or the entitlement, or, the ingrained neural pathway loops, or whatever the case was. And, although I got better and better and better, it, didn't finally fully align. And we have so many blind spots, whether it's, don't have a boyfriend yet. I'm not married yet. I deeply desire to have a soul husband, spiritually and soulfully and sensually and sexually aligned. I deeply desire to be in financial flow and financially free, and that's not here yet. So don't think I continue to show up and that it's easy and that, oh, she's traveling the world and all of this is just flowing and it's perfect. No, no, no. One of the reasons why I chose to travel the world and leave Atlanta the end of 2020 was because of the practical aspect that it is and does cost less depending on how you travel. For example, booking Airbnbs for a month, you often get 30, 40, 50% off. That's a travel hack. Travel collaborations, getting stays for free or getting stays for free and getting paid for content and creation and marketing and CMO type work. Not to mention, hello, the adventure. That, at the same time, getting to choose to have structure and discipline. Number 3, creative freedom. This was the first year I truly honored my creative flow. Towards the beginning of the year, I created the ultimate creative flow on the blog and on the show. And I talked about, the flow of priorities from brands to long form content like emails and blogs and videos, to then sharing that on short form content with social media, and or testing short form videos first before long form videos are created, and then repurposing that, automating that, using AI every step of the way. I let go of the pressure to produce and started creating from inspiration, intuition, and impact. And what's interesting is I actually produced so much more value, whether it, was writing, creating offers, creating content, traveling, creating communities, retreats. I allowed spaciousness in my schedule and creativity in my process and divine downloads. And guess what? The more I aligned with joy, the more results have followed. And a sense of peace when the results that I set an intention for are what I desire. So the intention for me usually consists of a feeling and what I desire to feel in the process and an outcome. And, this year is a year that many times the outcomes I intended did not happen. And realizing and choosing that, okay, I have impact and influence over the inputs. I don't 1000% have input and impact on the results that I desire on the timeline I desire. And then at the same time, reflecting when things didn't happen on the outcome. Okay, who else can I become? What else can I create? What else can I do? Right? Like, what else don't I know? And the more I realize, the more we know, the more we don't know. And it would have been so much easier in so many ways for me to stay in corporate, stay in the quote unquote guaranteed 6 figure a year job. And there's so many mistakes or learnings. I like to say, like Conor McGregor says, I win or I learn. And I added, so I'm always learning. That, if I shared a recent carousel on Instagram, that if I was leaving corporate now, I would have done so many things different, like having 6 months to a year saved. Um, and I had that freedom. I had that flexibility. But at the same time, I also believe that, again, things happen for us. And you don't know what's quote unquote around the corner, or sometimes how much longer things are going to take, or how certain levels of growth are crafted exactly for our soul, for faith in God moments. There were so many moments this year where I didn't have the answers, and I still don't. And it's the trust and the surrender. So, my word for this year, I talked about this several times throughout the year, was and is embodiment. And I already knew this year was really interesting. I already knew early on, probably by the first quarter, the first 3 months, that my word for 2026 is surrender. And embodiment has led to already so much surrender, but it's even fully catapulting me into 2026. So many moments where I was scared, stretched, unsure, and God meeting me there again and again, from unexpected provision to divine connections, that I'm still held, that I'm never alone. Traveling with parents, number 5, I talked about that earlier. One of the deepest gifts I received this year was the chance to travel with my mom and my dad through Thailand, through Bangkok, through Chiang Mai, through Phuket, through, like I shared earlier, the experiences of having my mom in the hospital and seeing the full force of her humanity, yet also being deeply, deeply grateful for the hospital that she was in Chiang Mai, and the care. And then her getting better, us going, to Bali, and so many priceless memories. Mother's Day in Bali, boat rides on to Bond Island, and I'll never stop being grateful for those experiences. From the vibrant energy of Bangkok to the temples in Chiang Mai to the sunsets over the beaches of Phuket, we stayed walking distance from the beach. Every moment felt sacred. Then in Bali, from the rice fields of Ubud to the serene coastlines of Nusa Dua to Uluwatu, we created so many memories that words will never fully capture. Time with them in these places, wasn't just a vacation, it was a reminder this is precious. It was a privilege, one that I know that many don't get to experience, that it's on their bucket list. And it was truly priceless. Laughter over street food, shared prayers, dance moments, moments of stillness, and simply being together. I will carry those moments for the rest of my life. They weren't just highlights of my year, they were highlights of my heart. Number 6, community connections. If 2025 taught me anything, it is this: community is everywhere if your heart is open to it. I'm incredibly grateful for the divine connections that happened across continents this year. Some were planned, many were unexpected, and all of them were deeply aligned. From spiritual spaces to co working corners to sober celebrations to faith based conversations, these moments reminded me that we are never truly alone in this journey. The beginning of the year in Vietnam, I met Daisy from the US, but living in Zanzibar, at a lantern making workshop in Hoi An. A moment that turned into a soul connection. We shared stories, floated lanterns together during the full moon, ate together, rowed a boat down the glowing river. It was pure magic, proof that even strangers can become like sisters under the right light or right moment. And we've continued to stay in touch. In Bali, I experienced community at so many levels, from Nirvana Life's healing spaces to sound baths to biohacking to rise and shine sober parties that I went to let's see, one, two, I think 3 or 4 times, to soothing sessions at Udara Bali that I went to twice at Sunday festivals, and met Stacy, met Kiki, and so many other beautiful souls. Each connection felt so intentional, from silent glances to full on belly laughs. Terra community. I stayed at a beautiful co working and co living space at Wine Sunrise Villas, to being back in the USA for a couple weeks and reconnecting with Herbalife Global Nutrition Community, and spending precious time with two of my besties, Angela and Lindsay, in Dallas, grounding me in love and vision and the kind of joy that only comes from years of knowing someone's heart. To meeting a beautiful soul sister, Carolina, from Bolivia, on the plane, and so many divine and precious moments as I was flying into Ecuador. In Peru, living and working at Casa Naranja, a co-work and co-live space in Mankara, where creators and nomads became friends. Lots of laughter with friends like Luca and Rosa and other people that I met, where dinners, deep convos, and co-working fueled my soul as much as the ocean air. Melissa from Lima, that gave me so many tips. And of course, I'm always grateful for ongoing connections with purpose-driven creators, with programs like B School, Transformation Church, Social Curator, creating communities, whether online, like Creator School, Creator Circle, Creator Weeks, Creator Retreats coming up, or in real life. Every hug, every new friend, every collaboration or soul conversation reminds me that purpose is magnified when it's shared. Number 7, business breakthroughs, creations from a creator. This year was the year I stepped deeper into the creator CEO identity. I shared so many blogs this year on the roles of a creator to CEO, like creator, CMO, CFO, COO, and CEO. Not just running a business, but creating a movement rooted in faith, freedom, and full expressions. From bold pivots to launches, this year was rich with experiments, evolution, and expansion. And I'm so proud of what came through, like simplifying from Creator Circle to Creator School, like creating creator templates, like creating creator AI agents for creators, coaches, and CEOs, and to simplify and to amplify through the blog, sharing the alignment of the creator flow, from brand outreach to email launches to long form content on blogs, to then sharing that on social and choosing some of that to share in long form videos, and breakdowns on what it looks like with the behind the scenes to create it like a boss, with intention, inspiration, and income in mind. Creator retreats, elevating, blending transformation and travel and destinations. Activation portals for purpose driven creators to reset, rise, and record their next level. And then partnering with different brands like Expedia this year. And through it all, I gave myself permission to test, to tweak, to trust, to know that not everything is created to be perfect, but it's actually perfectly in process. And this year taught me that when we co-create with God, trust our timing, surrender, and keep showing up and trusting that the breakthroughs are inevitable. This was a year of building not just a business, but legacy. And for that, I'm wildly and unapologetically grateful. From money mess to money message in 60 seconds, I recently shared this on my social posts, and deeper levels of, again, money mindset transformations that went beyond chaos into clear, aligned money strategies. Having a creator cash flow AI agent, a creator vision AI agent, where I tell it, that it's an expert with these people's input. Clearing old money habits, simplifying systems, healing subconscious beliefs and behaviors around lack, around chaos. What once felt like a money mess, untracked spending, fear of checking accounts, inconsistent income, creating chaos with actions, with behaviors, with travel, with ways and areas that money is spent in, is now even more of a money message with my six pack of wealth, where I teach and embody at deeper levels than I ever imagined. And realizing it's not solely about me, but so much more and so many more people to come. It's about knowing how to manage, multiply, and move money with meaning and respecting money to whole different levels. I realized this year how much I respect and track and acknowledge and give gratitude for abundance, for money, for cash. Creating revenue plans across creator brands, creator retreats, creator school. Refine spending habits that align deeper, less and less and less impulse spending, less and less and less debt spending, integrated automation and abundance, before pausing and prayer before paying, before spending, embracing the role of a leader. And keep in mind, you guys, also having the background of an MBA and CPA and reaching six figures and helping others make 6 to 8 figures, I still struggled with all of this for so long. And a lot of it attributed to witnessing so many money stories at home, so much money chaos, challenges, to where money didn't feel safe, or it didn't feel safe to have money and love, to have money and success. And that this year, really getting grounded that money gets to feel safe, sacred, and strategic. Number 9, creating with AI. One of the greatest gifts of 2025, AI truly became my creative co-founder and bestie. So I've created with AI over 3 years, but this year I didn't just use AI. It reached new levels of momentum. I shared on the blog and on the show that I created with AI in over 100 ways across wellness, marketing, business, travel. I created over 10 creator AI agents. Literally, as of last month, creating or saving over 160 hours a month. That's literally 4 full weeks of full-time work. And without AI, that likely would have taken a lot longer regardless. And that looked like writing, that looked like scripting and creating and automating content, that look like marketing flows and creator to CMO behaviors, creator to COO behaviors, to creator to CFO behaviors, helping other creators plug in and profit with templates, with creator school, with creator brands, with creator retreats. AI simplified so much. More space, more impact, more income. This is the future for creators. AI isn't going to replace you. The people that use it will. Because if I am adding 160 hours a month of co-creative aligned effort in my voice, authentically, with the speed that AI generates outputs, that's 1 month. I'm leaping over other creators in leaps and bounds. Now take that and multiply it by 3 or by a year, and that doesn't count new levels and layers that I'm leveraging AI and others like me or beyond. Number 10, the gift of now, honoring, healing, and humanity. One of the things I'm most grateful for in 2025 is the gift of now. This year invited me again and again and again to stop chasing, striving, and surviving, instead to just sit with the moment, to feel, to heal, to be human. Because let's be honest and let's be real. It's so easy to get caught up in what's next, what hurts now, what's painful now, what's not working now, the next goal, the next launch, the next level. But in the race for more, we often forget on the miracle of what is and in what we get to heal now. What we reveal has the capacity and the ability to be healed. And this year, I remembered over and over, or I was reminded over and over and over, that the present is not a placeholder, it's the portal. Healing, breakthrough, surrender, joy, reveal, release, not someday, right now. Honoring my humanity. This year brought so many incredible highs and also deep, deep lows, deep valleys. There were days I felt on top of the world and others where I felt undone, cried out, exhausted. But instead of bypassing it or numbing out, I chose to more and more both heal and honor my emotions as sacred teachers and to honor my heart. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to pause out of release. And I believe crying is actually a sign of strength. I remember years and years ago, I used to think it was such a weakness. I held space for grief and joy to coexist. I stopped shaming my shadows and started learning from them. I did a shadow journal last in 2023, and some of the learnings or the lessons were revisited or they showed up in different ways. I slowed down, not because I had to, but because I deserved to. And I also recognize where sometimes speed can be self sabotaging, whether it's you're not recognizing different signs or symbols and where you're truly supposed to move next. I also realize where sometimes speed can cause more chaos, both in spirit and in cash flow. And then in stillness, I rediscovered what it means to feel whole, not because everything is perfect, but because I'm present, living in alignment, not achievement. I shifted from asking, am I doing enough, to am I being true to myself? Am I aligned here? That one question started to rapidly and massively change how I lead, how I love, how I create, how I rest. I let go of proving, I embraced more being, and found that the more present I became, the more alignment followed, because presence isn't just spiritual, it's strategic. It connects you with your intuition, with your peace, with your people. And when you lead from presence, you lead from power. And at the same time, sometimes when there's a trigger or you're misaligned, that's also a sign that there's something there that gets to change, whether it's a new revelation of thinking, of being more disciplined, a change, a release of the old you. I've released so many old levels and layers of me. There's so many versions of Katrina that have, come and gone. And, I've learned to love every single one of her. And at the same time, I reflect and realize many times when I'm speaking and sharing, it's like I'm speaking and sharing to old Katrinas and to previous versions of me, and recognizing, the new definition of success. Success in 2025 didn't simply come from milestones, from launches, from income, from reaching goals externally that I wanted and desired to hit. It was and is walking barefoot through rice fields without checking my phone, crying tears of joy, on a boat in Vietnam under the full moon, journaling in the quiet mornings with no to-do list attached, looking my parents in the eyes during a trip and thinking, this is what I'll remember. These are the small, big moments that are the sacred ones. And no longer wishing or waiting for a quote unquote perfect future to feel peace, choosing peace now over and over again, returning to me, returning to peace. And that your now is enough. If you're listening to this, if you're reading this on the blog, giving yourself the permission to pause, giving yourself the permission to pray, to feel the pain. Because, I think so many times it can be also a quote unquote positive toxicity. In that, I mean that sometimes in the race to be positive or a positive mindset or personal development, there's so much push for the positive that there's no space for the healing. There's no space for the humanity. And I have definitely been guilty of this with myself and others in the past. And now pausing to feel and see the pain and acknowledge it in others, because that's all part of being human. To breathe deeper, to unclench your jaw, to have the moment or the moments to choose you to your heart, to let go of the chasing of the noise. There's nothing more magnetic, more divine, more transformational than a woman or man who is fully in, her power, in her embodiment. So as I close out this reflection, I'm reminded that 2025 wasn't simply a year of doing or receiving. It was a year of becoming, a year of traveling the world, 7 countries, and coming home to myself through Vietnam, through Thailand, through Bali, through Lombok. Both Bali and Lombok are both Indonesia. Through Bali again with my parents, through the USA, through Ecuador, through Malaysia, through Peru. So if you've listened for a while, you know that this is radically less than the year before. I went through 12 or 13 countries the year before. And, each of these areas, the travel, the year of creating bold things, honoring the healing, deep emotional work, new levels of freedom and miracles wrapped in both chaos and clarity. Each of these 10 areas weren't just events, they were activations. Each one called me deeper into purpose, deeper into play, deeper into priorities, deeper into profits. Each one reminded me who I really am. And the truth is, I'm not grateful because everything was easy. I'm grateful because I allowed myself to feel it all, the messy middle, the magic moments, and everything in between. As you reflect, I invite you to ask, where did you grow? Who did you become? What did you overcome? What are you most grateful for? And gratitude isn't just about what happened. It's also gratitude for the hard moments. It's also about what is revealed. And 2025 revealed strength, softness, and soul in more ways than I can count. So thank you, 2025. I know it's not over yet. I haven't stopped reflecting. You'll hear even more in the year in review and in Creator Confessions from December into January. So for every connection, challenge, and co-creation, for the healing, the hustles, the hallelujahs, and for the reminders that the present is the most powerful place to be. Here's to more gratitude, grace, and limitless growth in 2026. And if you're a creator or CEO or desire to be, let's create it like a boss. And you can check out the link at the show notes at bit.ly/create it like a boss. If you have some takeaways or would love to share about this, definitely tag me at Katrina Julia Fit. Leave a review on the show and drop your IG handle so I can shout you out. And as always, remember, create, transform, and inspire. You are born to.